We have even more stories and updates to get through, my friends. A lot to unpack today, a lot of insight to discuss and share. I had to break things up to make it more digestible for you guys. So this is the rest of the latest reports. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get straight into things. And we discuss some potential club exit news, because at the moment, it does seem like Joao Felix is attracting a lot of interest from Saudi clubs. I think one of them is Al Hilal. Now, I can give you guys some context behind price tags I'm hearing. And at the moment, because Saudi clubs have to pay a premium most times to secure good talents, it seems like a bids or offers between 45 to 55 million are on the horizon for Joao Felix. If it materializes, if Joao decides, you know what, I'm prioritizing the bag over my career, or maybe going to Saudi short term could be the best platform for me to find myself, find my football, feel that responsibility on my shoulders before coming back to Europe, generationally wealthier. The reason why his move to Benfica hasn't taken off, I heard, came down to the fact that, what's his name? His wage demands were just too high. Now, ideally, Benfica were hoping that we could maybe cover the remaining amount of his wages, but the amount that we had to cover was too much because Felix wasn't really ready to necessarily take a hit on his wage packet with Benfica. So that's why that move didn't end up going through in the end. Fair enough, I could make a cynical point. Are you prioritizing the bag over your football right now? But at the same time, I'm admitting I'm cynical. I don't know what the figures are saying. If it was so low that it's like a bit a bit silly, I can respect why he isn't doing that. But Benfica were hoping that the sentimental card could have maybe worked in their favour to have Felix come back, be a star there for the next year or two, and then kind of reclaim himself and get flipped on and sold for more money. That's how they were seeing the situation. Let's see what happens there. But in the meantime, of course, my guys, we talk about the latest on Andrey Santos. Now, that's a pretty interesting story. Now, don't worry, we're not looking to sell Santos, and what I can tell you straight is Santos is not looking to leave Chelsea right now. But from what the reports are saying, clubs have been interested in Andrey Santos. It was a massive coup when we actually secured his services. Newcastle's, Paris Saint-Germain's, Bayern's, Barcelona. They came especially close to signing Santos, but the finances in the end just didn't work in their favour. He has been wanted. He's been a talent. And as I mentioned after my points on Action Point last night, there's pressure from the club now to find that pathway. Now, we know that Maresca feels like he needs a little bit more time tactically to understand what's expected from him from like a box-to-box point of view. Obviously, at Strasbourg, he was in that pivot. He was receiving from the defence. He was linking up the play. He was everything in midfield. Coming here, his role is going to evolve. It's going to be different. And it seems like he will be the number 8 backup, and that's what Maresca expects from him. So that just entails that, okay, he needs a little bit more homework to be done in terms of, finalizing the details Maresca expects from his number 8. So I'm not panicking just yet. But what I'm going to say is, with a talent this big, this exciting, that's attracting this much interest, don't be surprised why clubs might try and just kind of sneak in a little bit and might try and sell their 2 pence behind why Santos should be leaving us to sign for them. And I just think it's one of those situations where I'm not going to take it for granted or get too cocky, Santos wants to play against the World Cup next year, These guys are thinking about that. In your career, you might have maybe 3 to 4 if you're lucky. If everything works in your favour, World Cups throughout your entire career. There's not many opportunities to be participating in them. So I respect why players really care about representing their nations in this tournament. So let's watch this space to see what happens. Hopefully he can get some game time and minutes against Benfica and he slowly gets himself back in the team. But yeah, I think there is pressure on Maresca to ensure that your Santoses, your Estevals, and certain players of this level are getting minutes, are getting looked after, and are developing at Chelsea Football Club. So that's that news out the way, my friends. But to end things with the final reports, I have a few little interesting type of just smallish updates behind what to expect from, transfer news and Chelsea exits. And for the last piece of news, my friends, Yeah, small updates on Hato, Kudus, Gyokeres, plus a lot more. From what I'm hearing on Hato, Arsenal have been stepping up a lot now to try and engineer something. But Hato is also on our cards, and we are reacting to Arsenal's interest. Now, the thing that's in our favour right now is that Arsenal are prioritising a move for Sergio. They want to get that sealed. They want to get that wrapped up. There's only a few little terms left now before the deal is wrapped. And obviously, this kind of creates an opening for us. On the other side too, Arsenal are also hoping to sell some players and let certain players go as well. Now, Arsenal are going to be key for us because they are the favourites now for Noni Madueke, and there's belief that Arsenal can strike a deal with us for the signing of Madueke. We know what that means. If Madueke goes, Kudus is his replacement, and from what I can tell you guys, from what I've heard, Arsenal actually prioritised Kudus as the #1 guy, but Kudus said no to Arsenal because his priority, now that we have Champions League football, would be to sign for us. Kudus wants to come to Chelsea, he wants to make that move happen. There's a lot of small things happening right now that are kind of aligning in our favour. Hopefully everything materialises like it's supposed to be. So that's one thing to watch out for, and Arsenal are going to be key in terms of allowing us to make a lot of things happen right now. So let's see if we can get Hato from them alongside Kudus, as I believe, you know what, we probably need to add maybe another competition figure for Kukurea. But if the club were like, you know what, forget him, let's use Issei Samuel Smith, I'd understand that. But come on, man, he hasn't joined the Club World Cup team, so I don't know how much confidence I need to have on Samuel Smith right now. I think probably a championship loan is his future at the moment. But I do know, obviously, in light news on Gyokeres, I keep telling you guys, not like super concrete things on him, but it's just things are simmering and slowly getting a bit hotter. Now, I can tell you guys that Gyokeres is fuming with Arsenal because they promised him the world. They made it sound like he was their #1. We know the reports have been conflicting between Arsenal's interest for Sergio and Gyokeres, and since they added Berta from Atleti as the new sporting director, yeah, there has been some conflicts between Arteta and Berta. Berta wanted Gyokeres, Arteta wants Sergio, and it seems like Arteta is going to get his man. So there is an interesting opening for Gyokeres that could be materializing, but this is going to be one of those low-key things that we're just having light conversations with at the moment, because naturally if Gyokeres came, then obviously Nico Jackson would have to go. Now, I know that we won around 60 mil euros for Nicolas Jackson, and an interesting one is to watch out for Juventus interest, because I can tell you guys this as well. Another player we're really looking at in case the Gittins deal was to fall through is actually Kenan Yildiz. Now, it's not a surprise because, you know, past reports at the start of this year did confirm the fact that we held talks with his agent and his parents, so that groundwork has been put in there since day one. And it does seem like, from what I was hearing, potential money between 55 to 75 million could be enough to seal the deal for Yildiz. And again, this is just speculation, I want to separate that, but the speculation, I was then told, could there be something that materializes then between maybe Nico Jackson going to Juventus, or maybe a smaller reduced amount if Kenan Yildiz was the other option we turned to in case Gittins did fall through. And obviously for the final report on Gittins, my guys, yeah, at the moment, Bayern Munich, sorry, I don't know what's happened here, but Bayern Munich are still in the running. But I can tell you there is some interesting news around the context of the negotiation. Now, Sebastian Kehl, the sporting director of Dortmund, has long things out and slowed things down a bit because he's waiting for Bayern Munich to do something. A lot of this is also in reaction to how we've moved, how we've negotiated, and the disrespect Dortmund have felt we've moved with, which I think is more than fair. And I'll give you guys an example. Bayern Munich, surprisingly, they're in a situation right now where they're thinking, you know what, our wage bill is looking a bit mad. They're bored of having conversations, conflicts, not aggressive conflicts, but more like directional conflicts behind, okay, half are like, we need to make sure the wage bill is calm. You know, Musiala's on how much, Kane's on how much, Oliseh's on how much, contract renewals for days. This isn't sustainable. So this could maybe force Bayern to maybe be open to certain sales, But that's just speculation at the moment. Right now, the board needs to find unity and clarity behind how they view their wage build and structure. Hence why there's like light delays behind them really pushing on now for Jamie Gittins. Now, this is the difference between how Bayern are negotiating and us. I was told this is the European way. Bayern have been very transparent with Borussia Dortmund behind exactly what the delay's been about. Don't know why I started them. They've been very transparent around why there's been a delay behind really pursuing things and pushing things for Gittins, which Dortmund have happily accepted. Hence why they have patience on their side. I mean, listen, nothing's going to happen till after the Club World Cup, so there's no real rush at this point in time. But, you know, slowly and slowly and slowly, it has to make us react. Now, we still have a good chance to strike this deal because Dortmund will still do right by Gittins. But at the moment, I haven't confirmed whether Bayern have officially spoken to Gittins yet, but I don't think they will until their boards kind of find unity on how they view their wage structure and their wage bills, because they can't just keep offering players crazy amounts of money. It's unsustainable after a certain amount of time. We know that Bayern wage bill is kind of massive. So that's that, my friends. That is all the latest reports to discuss today. Share your thoughts and opinions on the updates. I'm kind of curious, you know, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces in the window right now. Things could maybe end up in many different ways for us by the time the window ends. Comment below, what is your ideal end to this window? Who are the players that you want to see, and who are some of the players you want to see sold? So